Welcome to Dominate Your Potential, the podcast where we help family-centric leaders escape the grind, build thriving businesses, and create legacies that matter. I am your host, Milton Sithole. As you know, I am a speaker, a coach, author, and your transformation guide. So, last week we unpacked the truth. We talked about the grind is not godly. And today we are diving into the emotional and spiritual reason why so many of us stay stuck even when we know better. Like, have you ever had the opportunity, for example, to walk away from something draining and you didn't? Not because it was good, but because it was familiar. There is a lie. Like they say the devil is better than the devil you don't. That's a facade. It's a lie. It's a fallacy. It's a falsehood. Now, that's what today's episode is about. Why your brain sees comfort as safety and how to break that lie. So, I am reminded of a story. It's an ancient biblical story of the Israelites. How when they had been delivered from Egypt, but still longed for bondage. In Exodus 14:12, it states that they were crying and complaining and grumbling unto Moses and say, it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians, yet they had been delivered. They were not happy. They were grinding, they were grinding in Egypt. They were burnt out. They were not productive at all. They were not moving. They were not making progress. And God decided to deliver his people out of bondage. And they were crying, saying it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians, because that comfort, that familiarity, it's because freedom is unfamiliar. Change is hard. Growth feels dangerous, and the past is rather predictable, but the future requires trust. You need to have faith, trust, courage, and boldness. And just recently, I was on LinkedIn, and one of my colleagues, he's actually one of my mentors. I look up to him so much. He even gave a contribution in my book. He gave like an endorsement. He endorsed my book. And one of his posts, I felt it resonates. It's in tune with what I'm talking about today. So in this particular post of his, he shares a story on how he says, don't wait to lose your job. That was the title of the LinkedIn message. He talks about two of his critical personal experience that occurred to him in his life that changed his fortitude forever. And one of the instances was in 2009, where he says he lost everything. His computer business collapsed. His cars, houses were repossessed. Can you imagine having your cars and houses repossessed? That was hectic. He says his health deteriorated. He spiraled into depression. It was one of the darkest moments of his life. But it also became the most defining, It became the most defining, because 6 months into that depression, he says he found himself doing something simple. Just simple. Something he didn't think much of at the time, which was sending SMS messages to encourage young people he was leading in his local church. So the response from the young people, from the messaging that he was sharing with him, it actually shook him. Because people will ask and say, which book did you get this from? They will ask, and he say, I didn't get it from a book. He was the book. It was his. It was from him, inside him. He always had it inside of him. So he said that moment, it lit a fire inside him. As he realized that it didn't just have the words, but he had the voice. Not just a voice, but the voice had purpose. And he told himself that he can write a book and inspire generations. That is when everything shifted for him. And then later on in life, some years later, he says he's a computer engineer. He's a computer engineer by training, and he was employed by some other tech company, though life was pointing him in the direction of training, coaching, and public speaking and leadership development. So in 2012, he landed a prestigious job with one of these largest organizations back home in Zimbabwe. And he felt like it was like redemption, wow, it's a second chance to rebuild. And for a while, he says it was incredible complacency, familiarity. Now, almost 5 years later, he says he was fired. They sacked him from that job. And he recalls the date. He remembers everything. He says he'll never forget that letter, which he laminated and still has that letter. That was another defining moment. Again, he was pushed back to purpose. Now, the second loss was the final confirmation. He says he realized something about himself, that I wasn't meant to fit in. I was meant to stand out by doing what I was created to do. I went back to the calling the first whispered to me in the middle of depression, and this time I didn't let go, he says. Remember on our first episode, we said the grind isn't godly. You were meant for more. It's the same thing. Today he travels the world inspiring people, building leaders, and getting paid to do what he loves. And when you look back, he asks himself often, what did it take losing a business and losing a job for him to run with his purpose? Look at yourself, for example. Maybe you are comfortable. You see, wherever you are, maybe you're comfortable, you're not comfortable, but you're just feeling stuck. You see, comfort is the enemy of purpose. You see, it takes crisis at times to awaken us to what's been inside us all along. Les Brown has this great saying. I love it so much. He says there is something, you have something special. You have greatness within you. Yes, you have something special. Doesn't matter, someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. I always say their contemptuous perception of you is none of your business. You see, your purpose leaves clues. For this leader, his was hidden in the SMS messages, in the people he encouraged, in the impact he made without realizing it. Each and every day we are making impact. Whether you know it or you don't, you are making impact, be it positive or negative. Either way, you are making impact. And mind you, we are all born for a purpose. Each and every one of us, we are born for a purpose. And so many leave the planet Earth without having discovered their purpose. Miles Monroe said the richest place on the earth is the cemetery, because there you find dreams that were never fulfilled, songs that were never sung, businesses that were never erected, because people were so afraid to step into the unknown, the unfamiliar territory, just to be comfortable and to be conforming to the job that they pay you enough to stop you from quitting. Someone said a job is just overbroke. You're just overbroke because it's a bribe to stop you from reaching your dreams, to stop you from dominating your potential. So don't wait to lose something for you to start living. The time to align with your purpose isn't after you lose your job or hit rock bottom. It is now, as my global leader discovered. Now, if you're hearing this, you're in a job, you tolerate but don't love, or you feel a calling but keep postponing, let this be your wake-up call. You were made for more, and you don't need to wait for a crisis to prove it. You just need to start now. Start small, just start. You see, starting small does not mean that you are limited or you don't have courage. You just need to take the first step. They say a journey of 1,000 miles began with a single step. Because God never gave us a spirit of fear. If you are to go to the book of 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7, the Bible says God never gave us a spirit of fear, but that of power, a power, love, and a sound mind. I mean, you are this powerful human being. You are endowed with greatness. It's up to you to realize it and unleash that greatness. You owe it to the world. You see, I was born as an answer. I believe you were also born as an answer to the cries of millions in the world. The fear you feel is not from God. Countless times we encounter God talking to man, and the first thing that he will say, fear not. Do not be afraid, because fear is the opposite of faith. You were not built for survival, but you were designed for impact. That term again. Impact. What impact are you making? How many lives are you changing in that role that you are at? Just be honest with yourself. Are you making a significant impact? Are you living within your calling, within your purpose? It's not easy to step into your dreams. It's not easy to do something new. It always takes courage and there's faith. Yet you are not alone. God says, see, I am doing a new thing. Don't you perceive it? That's Isaiah 43 verse 9. God says, behold, I am doing a new thing. Shall you not perceive it? All you need to do is to kaza and see with the eyes of the prophet. You just need to open your eyes. God is always inviting you to see what's possible, but you can't if you are staring at the past. In my book, Dominate Your Potential, I have a special chapter. It's called See Possibilities. All you gotta see is possibilities. It doesn't matter the circumstances. The balance of the bank account, the circumstances, the status quo, that one is irrelevant. All you gotta do is have faith. Only believe. See possibilities, because anything is possible. You just need to shift and reframe. In coaching, we have, in LLP coaching, we have what we call a reframing, whereby you change your mind. And interesting enough, it's a biblical principle. The Bible says that do not be conformed into this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That is all about mindset shift. You have to renew your mind, shift your thought process from the negative, from the fear, and have a positive outlook. Be positive and ask yourself, what identity are you clinging to that keeps you safe but stuck? It's about you. Why are you clinging to this particular thing that makes you feel like you are safe, but you're not going anywhere? You are just stuck. Your subconscious prefers certainty over progress. That's what it is. So you just have to reframe that discomfort is not danger. It's the birthplace of destiny. Ask yourself and take action. What will it cost you to stay the same for another year? Nothing is changing. You are not happy. There is no change at all. Looking all around, you are not taking action. Nothing moves. Nothing changes unless you do. So, they say a fool is a person who does the same thing over and over again and expects a different outcome. That won't happen. You have got to change. You've got to realize that it's costing you a lot, but you have to understand what would it cost you to stay the same for another year, because the possibilities are endless. I've been there. Like with the podcast, I don't know how many years ago I said I was going to do this thing. Like it's been like over 6-7 years, because I was going through my notes saying, okay, it's all written down. There's a lot of things I written down, but I had not taken action, and it was always just a dream. That's what it is. Nothing changed year after year. And I could have been helping a lot of people. Many people could have been benefiting from my voice, from this podcast, but I wasn't taking action. I was just comfortable, not taking a decision, not making a decision about my purpose, which almost robbed me of my growth. I also cycled for safety, but God kept tugging at my spirit. He kept knocking, kept prompting. That still small voice kept prompting and knocking and reminding me. I'll feel the nudge in my spirit say, hey, you have got this, you have got to do this, but maybe I was afraid. I was afraid. I wasn't afraid of failure. Maybe I was afraid of what success might look like. I was comfortable. I was staying in my Egypt, just the normal, familiar place. And just for you, my friend, what is your Egypt? Just ask yourself. Just write it down. What is my Egypt? And what am I called to leave behind? Just write these questions down. Like, what is my Egypt? And what am I called to leave behind? And affirm this. Like, we have to make affirmations. And you see, it's safe to grow. Say, I am safe to grow. I am ready to expand. I was made for more. Once again, say, I am safe to grow. I am ready to expand. I was made for more. Are you feeling stirred right now? I would like to hear your story. I would like to hear more from you, and let's talk. Just book a free one-on-one impact session. No pressure, just clarity. Just DM me growth on LinkedIn or Instagram, Milton Sithole, and we can talk and have a chat. Don't forget to subscribe and share this with someone who's ready to stop surviving and start building. Remember, you weren't created to repeat cycles. You were made to create change. I always say this. There is no law against dreaming big. So go ahead, dream big and do big things. See you on the next episode. It has been a pleasant pleasure to speak with you. Cheers, till next time.